There's a certain kind of horror story that doesn't really rely on jump scares or, monsters under the bed. It relies on architecture.
Yeah.
And I don't mean haunted houses with like creaky floors. I'm talking about the architecture of the mind. Places that just feel wrong.
Geometries that don't quite add up.
Right. I mean, think back to when you were a kid. Was there ever a spot on the playground? Maybe. Maybe behind the farthest swing set, where the air felt just a little too cold.
Oh, yeah, that visceral sense of the uncanny. It's a universal childhood experience. You know something is off, even if you don't have the words for it.
Exactly. And in the story we're covering today, that feeling isn't just paranoia, it's actually a doorway. We are diving deep into the empty underneath dream. On the surface, it's this surreal fantasy about a girl named Rue who finds a crack in a playground, a dead spot, and, well, she falls through it. But what we're really looking at here is a blueprint for dissociation.
It's such a fascinating text because it treats trauma not as an event that happened, in the past, but as a place, a literal landscape you can get lost in.
And the protagonist, Rue, she's just lost. She's fragmented. She goes into this world with a name that isn't even hers because she's forgotten her past just to survive. She falls into this dollhouse below, not to, slay a dragon, but to scavenge for parts of her own mind.
Which is a genuinely terrifying idea if you stop and think about it. The concept that to survive, you sometimes have to just chop off parts of who you are, your memories, your feelings, and just leave them in the dark. The story asks, what happens to those parts?
It's heavy stuff, but it's so beautifully told. We're going to walk through that dark today. We're looking at chandeliers made of teeth, clocks that tick backwards, and the villain called the Smiling One that might be one of the most disturbing representations of coping I have ever seen.
It's the imagery that really sells the psychology. The story kicks off with Rue finding this crack in the playground where all the bark chips are turning black. She hears it humming, a sound she's forgotten. And when she touches it, she doesn't fall down, she falls through.
Into the dollhouse below. And let me tell you, calling it a dollhouse makes it sound almost cute. It is not. The atmosphere is stifling. The floor is velvet, but it creaks like old bones. But the first thing that really stuck with me was the chandelier.
The teeth?
Yeah, a chandelier made of actual teeth. It's such a visceral, deeply uncomfortable image. Why teeth?
Well, think about what teeth represent. They're permanent. They're the parts of us that remain. They're rooted. But here, they've been extracted. It sets the tone immediately. This is a place of extraction. Things that should be rooted in the body have been pulled out and made into, well, decoration.
It's almost performative. Like, look at the pain I've turned into furniture and sitting under this thing or 3 living dolls. This is where it shifts from just being weird to, for me, deep psychology. You've got the silver-haired doll, the one with burned hands, and this tiny weeping doll.
And Rue recognizes them. Not that consciously at first, but there's a resonance. Take the silver-haired doll. She's winding a cracked music box. Over and over, it's a loop.
That's the detail that really got me. The loop. It's not just a creepy doll, it's a stuck memory.
In trauma theory, we talk about that, how traumatic memories don't get stored like normal narrative memories. A normal memory has a beginning, a middle, an end. It's in the past. But trauma is often timeless. It's just always happening. That music box is the loop.
And then the doll speaks. She says, "We are the stories you buried." And then this line, which, wow, you stitched us up when it hurt too much. That implies Rue did this to them, doesn't it?
That's the tragedy of it. These aren't invaders. They're exiles. Rue, or her subconscious, anyway, she created these dolls to contain feelings that were too big for a child to process. She turned her pain into objects so she wouldn't have to feel it.
A survival mechanism made real. But the way she interacts with them is key. She touches the smallest doll, the weeping one, and boom, she's hit with a flashback. She's 5, hiding in a cupboard, whispering, "It's just a game."
And that's the mechanic of this whole world. Contact with the surreal restores the real. The doll isn't a monster. It is the memory of being 5 and terrified. By touching it, Rue is reintegrating. She's letting herself feel what she couldn't back then.
But the dolls warn her they can't just leave. The clock is broken. And this leads her to the corridor of the clock. And again, the author just nails the sound design in the text. You can almost hear it. Tick, tock, tock, tick. The rhythm is all wrong.
It's backwards, and that is so important. The clock tells Rue, you traded your name to forget. This is the core conflict. She didn't just lose her memory, she made a deal to escape the pain. And the backwards clock is regression. It's asking her, do you remember when you gave up?
And the cost of that deal is so heavy. The clock says, forgetting carries weight. I think we usually see forgetting as a relief,
Yeah.
letting go. But here, the repressed memories are literally dragging the dolls and Rue down.
Because to forget is to carry a void, and that void is heavy. I mean, it takes immense energy. She looks in, she sees herself de-aging, flickering through the versions of herself she abandoned.
She has a choice. She has to wind the clock forward to make time move the right way. But that means facing the very thing she tried to escape. And that is when it shows up.
The smiling one.
Okay, we really need to unpack this thing. Because on paper, a monster in a yellow dress sounds, I don't know, almost quaint. But the description: it's a soft, yellow child's dress. It has a stitched, permanent grin. And where its eyes should be, just hollows.
What makes the smiling one so effective and so deeply disturbing is that it's not trying to attack Rue. It's trying to comfort her.
That's the worst part. It coos at her. It says, dreams are safer that way. Let it all stay buried. And for a second, you almost agree with it. I mean, why not just stay asleep where it's safe?
And that is the trap. That's why it's so dangerous. The smiling one isn't a predator, it's a protector. Or it thinks it is.
It's the embodiment of just don't think about it.
It's the fawn response. It's extreme dissociation personified. It's that voice in your head, maybe one you developed as a kid, that says, if I just smile, if I just pretend everything is fine, the bad things can't touch me. It's toxic positivity as a total defense system.
It's the lie of safety. Don't feel the pain. Stay numb. Stay smiling. And Rue almost falls for it. But then she realizes the smiling one isn't protecting her. It's trapping her in that loop.
And the confrontation is so physical. She doesn't fight it with a weapon. She fights it by acknowledging her own pain. There's a flashback to her being 6, hiding in an attic, whispering, I don't exist. And that's the moment the first stitch formed over her heart.
So to defeat the monster, she has to rip that stitch out. She chooses to feel the real beautiful pain over the numb safety. And when she does, the smiling one it disintegrates, melts into thread and tears.
Because it can't exist in the face of emotional truth. Once you acknowledge the pain, the need for that manic stitched-on smile it vanishes. The defense is no longer needed.
With it gone, the world shifts again. We move to the room of doors, it feels like the cleanup phase. She's broken the main defense, and now she has to deal with the individual pieces.
This is the hard work of integration. The text describes this foggy room filled with doors, each one a different age, a different trauma. You have the blue door with the 5-year-old rocking back and forth, whispering, it's not real. And then the pink door with the bullied schoolgirl asking, why didn't you help me?
Oof, that question, why didn't you help me? That hits hard. I think so many of us look back at our younger selves and feel guilty for not being stronger.
Absolutely. We judge our child selves with our adult minds. But look at Rue's response. She doesn't make excuses. She says, I was scared too. She validates that past self. And then she hugs them. This is textbook integration. You don't defeat your trauma. You embrace the part of you that was traumatized.
She literally hugs them until they merge back into her. She's collecting her pieces. And then she moves to the Garden of Unsaying.
A place where things we never said grow as flowers, whispering things like, I miss you, or why didn't you stay? Just a beautiful, sad image.
And in that garden, she meets her shadow. It's made of ink and moonlight. And the shadow says, you left me here.
The shadow is all those darker emotions, the grief, the anger, the things we're told to hide. Rue admits she left because she thought hearing the shadow would make her fall apart. But the shadow's response is amazing. It just says, then fall.
Then fall. It's such a powerful permission slip. Just let go. And she does. She surrenders. And instead of being destroyed, the shadow merges with her and becomes strength.
It's that paradox of healing, right? We think avoiding the fall is what keeps us strong, but it's actually the surrender that builds resilience.
So now she's strong enough. She climbs the thread into what she thinks is the real world, the hollow sky. She tears it open and expects to wake up. But instead, she lands in a kitchen.
The false summit. This is arguably the most dangerous part of the entire journey. More dangerous than the smiling one.
Because it's a perfect memory that never happened. A warm kitchen, the smell of eggs. And her mother is there. And she's kind. She's sober.
This is the ultimate temptation for a child of neglect. The fantasy.
Yeah.
The what if. The wish fulfillment dream where the parent was good.
The mother says, this is the world where I held you. And Rue could just stay. It feels so warm compared to the cold teeth and the dark clocks.
It would be so easy. But she finds the strength to say, this isn't mine. Rejecting the fantasy of the good mother to accept the reality of the neglectful one. That's a devastatingly brave act.
And behind that dissolving kitchen, she finds the final piece. The girl who never woke.
This is the core self, the part that stayed asleep so the rest of her could survive, the one who is the dream.
Rue wakes her up, they merge. And that's when the dream world finally cracks open with real light. The integration is complete.
But before she leaves, she gets a choice. 3 gifts. A key, a mirror, and a seed.
Okay, so the key is just waking up, right? Back to normal.
Right. Status quo. You survived, but nothing really changes. You just go back to the gray world.
The mirror is living in that beautiful lie, the fantasy kitchen.
Exactly. Dissociation, escapism.
And the seed. Something new to carry back. Rue chooses the seed.
Which is so critical. She isn't just surviving anymore, the key, and she isn't escaping reality, the mirror. She is choosing post-traumatic growth. She's taking the entire experience, the trauma, and deciding to turn it into something that can grow in the real world.
So she wakes up, and I have so much respect for the author for this. There's no magical fix. Her mom is still downstairs. The house is the same. The town is still gray. Her mom is still distant.
It's very grounded. The world hasn't changed. Rue has changed. The text says, the silence between them was full, but not empty. It was room. She has created space inside herself to exist in an imperfect world without breaking apart.
And she has the seed. She starts planting pieces of herself, leaving stories in libraries, notes on benches.
She's turning her trauma into connection. As the book says, dreams become stories.
And we see that legacy in the final scene. A new girl, Luma, finds a crack in a playground. But instead of falling through alone, Rue appears in her dream as a guide.
She breaks the cycle. She becomes the mentor she never had. The dead spot is no longer a trap. It's a place of connection.
It's such a beautiful ending. You are real. That's the note Luma finds.
Which validates the experience. That's all Rue wanted the whole time, right? Validation that her pain was real. Now she gives that gift to others.
So as we wrap this up, thinking about our own lives, we probably don't have a chandelier of teeth in our living rooms.
Hopefully not. That would be a bold interior design choice.
But we all have that smiling one, don't we? That instinct to just gloss over the cracks. That voice that tells you to just keep smiling, even when things are falling apart.
We do. And I think the lesson from Rue is that the dead spot, that uncomfortable feeling, that memory you keep pushing away, that's not the enemy. That's just a door. And the only way to get the seed, the only way to actually grow, is to stop winding the clock backwards and choose to go through it.
It brings up a question for everyone listening, I think. What would happen if you stopped winding your own clock backwards? What would happen if you reached into that cupboard and took the hand of the version of you that's still hiding there?
It might be scary. It would probably hurt. But as Rue found out, that pain is real. And being real is a whole lot better than being a stitched-up dream.
And you might just find you have a seed to plant, too. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Take care.